Right, ready for this. Today, we're diving into solutions that work, well, anywhere, really.
Anywhere.
Yeah, not just for like one climate or region, but ideas that could work no matter where you live.
I like it. Universal solutions. Sounds ambitious.
It is. The chapter you sent is jam-packed. It's
Right.
got renewable energy concepts, that whole circular economy thing, resilient communities, even staying healthy across different climates.
It's fascinating, actually. It flips the script. Instead of problems in specific places, it's about solutions that go beyond, geography.
Totally, like this whole adaptable renewable energy idea. So it's not about finding that one perfect energy source, right?
Right.
It's more like having a whole toolkit.
Exactly. And solar's obviously huge, but it's not just like slapping panels everywhere.
Okay, so what's caught your eye in the chapter?
The advancements in PV systems, the ones for low light conditions. Think about it. Flexible panels integrated into buildings, capturing light even when it's cloudy.
Wow, so even if there's not a ton of direct sunlight, you're still getting solar energy. I'm picturing cities where the buildings are basically power generators.
Precisely. And thinking about places where solar's not ideal, the chapter mentions PV in polar regions. They store summer sun for the winter darkness.
Oh, that's right.
Then there's CSP, concentrated solar power, giant mirrors focusing sunlight, tons of heat for energy. Deserts would be perfect for that.
So CSP is like solar power on steroids.
Kind of, yeah. But what about when it's not sunny? Wind power comes in then, right?
Wind power, yeah.
And the designs are getting so efficient, they can work in lower wind speeds now. Perfect complement to solar.
I see, so when the sun's not doing its thing.
Wind picks up the slack. The chapter even talks about offshore wind farms, stronger, consistent winds out there.
Okay, I get the toolkit idea now, different tools for different situations. You know what else seems to work everywhere?
What's that?
Biomass energy. We keep seeing it in every climate zone.
Biomass is incredibly versatile. Yeah. Forestry in temperate zones, but also tropical regions where plants grow like crazy. Agricultural waste, fast-growing bamboo. It's turning waste into a resource.
That's so cool. Reminds me of the whole circular economy idea.
Yeah.
Mimicking nature, right?
Yeah. Instead of take, make, dispose, it's about looping resources back in, like a cycle.
Right. Zero waste living sounds great in theory, but can anyone really do it?
It might seem like an ideal, but even small changes help, like reducing single-use plastics is a great starting point.
Okay, so instead of bottled water.
Reusable bottle. Choose products with less packaging or packaging that's easily recyclable.
And what about when you just can't avoid packaging? Is recycling the answer?
It's important, but only one piece. You gotta know what's actually recyclable, where you live, make sure it's sorted right, cleaned. The local systems matter a lot.
So it's not just tossing stuff in the blue bin and hoping for the best.
Nope. We need to be more aware of what happens to that stuff. And beyond recycling, there's composting, right? Turning food waste into.
Fertilizer.
Yeah, soil amendment. It's like having your own little ecosystem.
Composting sounds kind of intimidating. Are there ways to do it in different climates?
There are. The chapter talks about insulated bins for cold places and managing moisture in hot, dry climates. People are composting everywhere these days.
So even a tiny apartment in a big city.
You can compost.
That's so cool. Makes me wonder what other solutions in here could be adapted to, like any living situation.
Good question. It actually leads into the next section, all about community and social resilience. Sustainability isn't just a solo mission.
It takes a village, right? We need strong communities to make these changes work.
And the chapter really emphasizes strong local economies. Farmers markets, CSAs, things that keep money circulating locally, less reliance on faraway suppliers.
When you support a local business, you're investing in your community's well-being.
Exactly. It's not just about money either. Resilient communities are inclusive. Everyone has access to what they need, a voice in the decisions being made.
I'm seeing how all these ideas connect now. Renewable energy, circular economy, and now community resilience. It's a whole web of solutions.
Supporting each other. And it's not just the systems, it's us, the people. This chapter even talks about personal well-being in different climates.
Oh yeah, it's easy to forget climate affects us personally, like physically and mentally.
Right. We often think about the extremes, heat stroke in deserts, frostbite in polar regions. But even subtle differences can change our lifestyle, how we feel.
Exactly.
Like some cultures have siestas when it's hottest, or people in cold climates stay cozy inside during winter.
It's like adapting to what nature's doing.
Exactly. And access to green spaces, no matter the climate, it's good for mental health.
Even in a city, right? Finding a way to connect with nature.
Right, right. Like rooftop gardens in urban areas, bringing a bit of nature to the concrete jungle.
Exactly. And even in moderate climates, the chapter mentions spring allergies, summer heat.
Oh, yeah,
If you're not prepared, they can really get to you.
they can.
It's like we got to pay attention to how our bodies react to those seasonal changes.
Totally, like
And
tuning into our internal environment and the one outside.
so for everyone listening, think about how your climate shapes your life, physically, mentally, what helps you thrive where you are.
Good question.
It's amazing how adaptable humans are, right?
Yeah.
Living comfortably in all these different climates makes you wonder what kind of solutions people have come up with.
Right.
I think the chapter goes into some specific examples, yeah.
It does. And it starts with one of the most extreme environments, polar climates.
Oh, wow.
Imagine below freezing most of the year, long periods of darkness in winter, then constant daylight in summer.
That's intense.
Yeah.
Is sustainable living even possible in those conditions?
It is, but energy is a huge concern, obviously.
Yeah, just heating a home or building in that kind of cold
Takes a ton of energy. So
Yeah.
insulation, energy efficiency, that's super important.
makes sense. I bet passive solar design plays a big role, even with limited sunlight.
You're right. They often build homes with big, south-facing windows to catch as much heat as possible.
Smart.
And they use materials that store heat, like concrete or stone. They absorb it during the day, release it at night.
So it's like a natural heater built into the structure.
Yeah.
Clever. But what about those crazy Arctic winds?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they'd make it even colder.
They do. So windbreaks are common, strategically placed mounds of earth, rock, even snow fences.
It's like they're creating little microclimates to protect people and buildings.
Exactly. And then there's the snow itself.
Oh yeah, I bet that's a challenge.
Heavy snowfall can damage roofs, cause flooding, so buildings often have those steep, snow-resistant roofs.
Let it slide right off.
Exactly. Every little detail has to be considered for those conditions.
I'm guessing foundations are different too, with the ground frozen solid most of the year.
Yeah, in permafrost areas, they raise the foundations on stilts or pilings,
To prevent the heat from the building.
from thawing the ground, yeah, and messing up the structure.
Wow, they've thought of everything. What about water? Where do they even get fresh water in a place covered in ice and snow?
Snowmelt is a major source. They have systems to collect the melting snow, store it for the whole year.
Okay, that makes sense. But those storage systems must need some serious insulation to prevent the water from freezing again.
For sure. Insulated tanks, underground cisterns, some even use geothermal heat to help.
Wow, it's a constant battle against the elements.
It is.
Speaking of, what about food? How do people in polar regions get the nutrients they need when growing outdoors is so hard?
Greenhouses are essential.
Ah, makes sense. A controlled environment.
Exactly. Year-round food production.
So you could have fresh tomatoes in the Arctic in winter.
You could, and they often heat those greenhouses with renewable energy, geothermal, or solar.
How smart.
Some places are even doing indoor farming, like hydroponics. Uses less space and water.
So it's like bringing the farm inside. What about crops that can grow outdoors during those short summers?
They rely on things that are cold hardy and grow fast. Potatoes, turnips, kale, spinach.
Talk about resilient plants. It's amazing how ingenious humans are and how adaptable nature is.
It is.
But let's shift gears now, go to the opposite extreme, arid and desert climates. What challenges do those present?
Well, when rainfall is scarce, water conservation is everything.
Obviously, yeah.
The chapter talks about rainwater harvesting systems and graywater recycling, where they treat wastewater and use it for irrigation.
Makes sense. Every drop counts.
It does. And agriculture, they rely on drought-resistant crops. Dates, olives, certain beans and grains that do well in dry conditions.
So working with nature, choosing plants that are naturally suited.
Exactly. And they've mastered water-efficient irrigation, like drip irrigation, getting water right to the roots.
Smart. I bet solar energy is huge in those sunny regions too.
It is. Desert climates are perfect for solar power. Some are even using concentrated solar power for desalination plants, turning salt water into fresh water.
Wow. Using the sun to create water in the driest places on Earth. It's amazing. But let's move on to temperate climates now.
Okay.
They've got those distinct seasons, moderate temperatures, and rainfall.
Right.
They might seem less extreme, but I bet there are still some unique things to consider for sustainable living.
Absolutely. They're great for growing lots of different crops, but things like crop rotation are important for the soil.
And composting would be a big help there.
Exactly. And passive solar design, like we talked about earlier, it works in temperate climates too, keeping warm in winter, cool in summer.
It's all about working with those seasonal changes, right?
It is.
Creating comfortable, efficient spaces.
Yeah.
Now, what about tropical climates? Warmth, humidity, tons of rain
Yeah.
must present a whole different set of challenges and opportunities.
Definitely. Tropical regions are known for biodiversity, all that lush vegetation, but sustainable living there means managing heat and humidity first and foremost.
Yeah, I imagine the way they traditionally build homes plays a role.
Huge role. Think open air designs, high ceilings, large windows for ventilation, and shade trees, vegetation around buildings to block the sun.
It's about working with the elements, letting the
Yeah.
air flow.
Exactly. Building materials are important too, things that can handle the humidity, resist rot and decay. Bamboo, hardwoods, even concrete that's treated to be moisture resistant.
And with all that rain, I'm guessing managing water is a constant thing.
It is. Rainwater harvesting is crucial for fresh water, but also to prevent flooding and erosion.
So it's about working with the abundance of water, not against it.
Right. And in terms of agriculture, tropical regions can be super productive.
Yeah.
But they need sustainable practices to protect the soil. The chapter talks about agroforestry, integrating trees into farming systems for biodiversity and soil health.
Wow. It's like creating a mini rainforest on a farm.
Kind of, yeah. And of course, with all that sunshine, solar energy is a perfect fit.
It seems like it.
It's becoming more and more accessible there. It's really inspiring to see how people are finding innovative, sustainable ways to live in harmony with their environment.
It is. We've explored some region-specific solutions, but this chapter also goes into those universal tools for sustainable living, things that work anywhere.
Like a global sustainability toolkit.
I like that analogy. What are some of the key tools everyone should have in their arsenal?
Understanding community and social resilience is crucial. Sustainable living isn't just about individual actions, it's about collective effort, coming together as a community.
We're stronger together. What are some examples of that community-driven sustainability?
Supporting local businesses, community gardens, getting involved in environmental initiatives, advocating for policies that support sustainability, all of that.
It's about recognizing we're all connected, our actions have a wider impact. What other tools are in this toolkit?
Embracing the circular economy is another big one. Moving away from that linear take, make, dispose model, finding ways to reduce waste, reuse materials, create closed-loop systems.
So rethinking how we consume and produce, making our systems more efficient and sustainable.
Exactly. Recycling is part of it, but reducing consumption in the first place, repairing things, reusing, composting, seeing waste as a resource, not a problem. And that's something we can all do no matter where we live.
It's about changing our mindset, finding creative solutions. What else should we add to our toolkit?
One that's often overlooked, personal well-being. Taking care of our physical and mental health is key to a sustainable future.
That's interesting. How does personal well-being fit into the bigger picture of sustainability?
It's recognizing that our well-being is tied to the well-being of the planet. When we take care of ourselves, we tend to make choices that benefit both.
So it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving, finding a way to live that nourishes us and the planet.
Exactly. Getting enough sleep, eating well, spending time in nature, connecting with people we care about. Those things build resilience, help us create a more sustainable and joyful life.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's not about deprivation, it's about finding a balance, thriving in all areas of life.
And it's a reminder that sustainability is a journey, not a destination. There's always more to learn, more ways to grow, more opportunities to make a difference.
It's an adventure, not a destination. And it sounds like we've reached the end of our deep dive for today.
Yeah, it does feel like we just scratched the surface.
I know, right? But what a journey. We went from the Arctic to the tropics, solutions of all sizes. What were some of the big takeaways for you?
I think the biggest one, sustainable living isn't one size fits all. You have to understand the challenges and opportunities of each environment, find solutions that work with nature, not against it.
Yeah, like using snowmelt for water in polar regions, or the sun's power in the desert. People are so good at adapting to their surroundings.
It's incredible that ingenuity and resilience. It shows we can learn from each other, sharing knowledge and solutions across different cultures and climates.
Absolutely. And we also found some universal truths about sustainable living, the things that apply no matter where you are. like the importance of community, circular economy, that connection between personal well-being and a healthy planet.
That's all connected, right?
It is. It shows that sustainability isn't just about technology or policy, it's about us, the people.
It's true.
So, thinking about all the ideas we explored, is there one that really stuck with you? Something you'd like to try in your own life?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's zero waste living. It's a journey, not a destination, right? But even small changes make a difference. I'm inspired to look closer at my own habits, see how I can reduce my waste.
I love that. Taking action one step at a time. Maybe I'll finally get that compost bin going.
There you go. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. We're all in this together, learning as we go.
This deep dive has definitely given me a whole new perspective.
Yeah.
It's not about feeling overwhelmed by the challenges. It's about feeling empowered by the solutions.
That's a great way to put it.
Sustainability is an ongoing journey, full of possibilities. It's about embracing the challenges, finding creative solutions, and working together to create a better future for everyone.
Beautifully said.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.
It was great exploring these ideas with you. Keep learning, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep taking action.
And until next time, keep diving deep.